can you believe we haven't recorded an episode of this since Mindfucker?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
everywhere.
It's been a long fucking time since we recorded. It's really funny because I read this book like a week and a half ago. Yeah, and I didn't take notes because I thought the plan was to read it immediately afterwards, and then we didn't because it just kept on being pushed back.
Well, good thing I've read this book like 6 times.
I was like, at this point, 1, the fish is an expert on this book, and 2, I remember most of the characters' names, which is expert level for me, so.
You don't remember the character's name?
I remember most of them.
Oh, I was gonna say.
That's rare. Literally, me editing back clips is a lot of me just going, what is this character's name? I don't know, I'm just gonna call him Richard. And that's what I do for, like, every clip in my vlogs.
Well, I have the book ready too, so.
True. Hello, welcome to a Fish and Flower podcast. I'm Flower, aka Rose. God, I had to pull that from my brain.
Now I'm excited. Please tell me it's being quiet and it didn't already cut out. Okay, thank God.
Okay, good. Instagram, please. Please. What's my fun fact? So many things that have happened.
You're on brand?
I'm on brand. I repainted my nails. There was a bear at my house.
I'm so sad you didn't let me see the bear.
Listen, he was already leaving by the time I texted you, and he was pretty far down the driveway to the point where you wouldn't be able to see him, so.
Oh, I imagine it's a bear. Like, not on all fours, but just walking down your driveway.
No, it was on all fours. I hate to inform you. Yes, there was a bear.
And live my delusional. My delusional.
Exactly 1 week from this episode going up, my puppies have been 8 years old. Last week was their birthday. They are 8 years old. I had puppy cuddles last night. Bella came into my bed last night. What? It was only for like 30 minutes at like 1 a.m., but she came up, and I had cuddles. And I think she left me because I was so excited I kept on petting her, and she got annoyed.
Like, I'm trying to sleep, bitch.
Yeah, I think that's basically what happened. Anyways, do your intro.
My name is Fish, aka Stingray, and I'm partially on brand too, because there is water and etc. in this book too. Because it's on an island. I have multiple fun facts as well. You said the dogs are 8. Kiki is about 1 year old. Eddie, she is an old woman. Don't ask me how old that bitch is. She's old as hell. She's in her teens. I don't know how old she is. I don't know. She disappeared one day. No, she really didn't. It doesn't matter, but you know. But the real fun fact is, probably over 2 years ago at this point, I was putting something down for one of my shelves, like just another, just a plain little shelf. They're up on the walls, you know. I went to go get something down, and it pulled out one of the anchors, like the top of the bracket for the shelf. Pulled out my wall and almost, killed me. And I finally got it up the other day, and I moved into a different place. Mind you, these shelves were put up before I was even fucking born. So they've been in the same spot in my room for longer than I've been alive. So one is in the original spot where it's at, and the other one is on a different side of my room. And it didn't fall down and kill me in the middle of the night. Everybody clap. Also, there's always one section of my room that never has anything on it, and now it has shit on the wall. My room looks so nice right now. I'll show you after I clean up my fucking floor. Okay, there's you know, I have dolls, porcelain dolls on the one shelf. Well, we put the other shelf up too high, so I can't put them up there. I don't particularly want them in my room anyway, because, you know. And then there's like some other stuff I need to do something with. And then I'll show you. It looks so good. And I reorganized my book because I got the shelf up so I can move stuff around. Especially because Kiki thinks she's got to get into everything now. It looks so good. I'm excited. Can you tell?
Yes.
I had no energy before this, but I missed you, I guess, so now I'm excited.
I remembered what my other fun fact was, which is I finally read Heartstopper Volume 5. I say it's been out 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
And I freaked out at one point and turned myself into a pretzel. I literally sent the message to Fish last night in all caps. These are my children. There is no hanky-panky allowed in my house.
I giggled.
I thought you'd appreciate that. I was like, no hanky-panky allowed. And then the whole time plot about it is that...
Let's be extra gay.
I know, right? Is Nick trying to decide which uni he wants to go to, and then them doing the hanky-panky. And I was like, okay, I know all this is gonna happen from Nick and Charlie. I knew things are bound to happen already. But still.
It's just thinking about college and being horny as fuck, which is valid.
Yeah, I've been in high school. Alright, you ready to talk about this middle grade? I thought you'd like that.
One of my favorite books of all time, you mean?
Yeah, I would like you to know that there's no content warnings labeled on Storygraph, so there's, murder.
Yeah.
Ghosts.
Child neglect.
Child abuse.
He just did something.
Most adults being absolutely shitty.
Okay, she's in my mom.
Philip's whole entire character should just be a content warning. God, he was insufferable.
Depression, chronic illness, kind of.
Yeah.
What else? I feel like there's some other stuff. Grief, death.
Death of parent.
Yeah.
And, a cool black squirrel. I don't know. Welcome to the Humming Room. I would like to know, I knew this was inspired by The Secret Garden before I read it.
Which
right?
I read it, finally, even though I thought I never was. It was, I didn't.
It was fine when I read that.
Hear me out. Mary isn't a redeemable character, but Rue is.
Yes. Agreed. That is basically
my thought process.
Yeah.
Eat the plant! I'm sorry.
Though you can very clearly notice, like, the beats that are very similar and
Hold
stuff.
on.
And
pause. I have to go get this cat. Eat the plant and the dirt! Kiki! Get it!
Kiki!
I really hope there was a plant in there, because my mom's gonna get me if there was. But she was literally eating dirt. And then I ran in there, she ran away. This is a great start.
It really is. The beats are very similar to Secret Garden. If you've read The Secret Garden, like, it's been months and months for me, but I could still tell the beats for it, all this stuff.
That's actually, on the cover, it says a novel inspired by The Secret Garden.
I knew this. Yes, I know this.
I got the book right in front of me. Let me talk about it, okay?
When the copy that I read, it starts in the introduction talking about how The Secret Garden is the author's favorite book, and that's why it's very inspired by it, all this stuff. And then 2, I was like, how is this book so long? Like, I thought it was only 200 pages. And it took me until I was, like, halfway through the book to realize that 200 of the pages is actually just The Secret Garden. It just had The Secret Garden included.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I didn't read The Secret Garden again. I just was like, alright. And then had to
the actual
re-figure out how far I was into the actual book.
The hardback is 182 pages. That's about all the extra shit.
Yeah, the paper or the ebook is about 192 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So,
should I talk about my lore with this book first?
Yes, you talk about your lore.
Okay. So, I went to 2 different elementary schools as a child. For the first half, I went to one, and then I closed out now, so I went to a different one. So, the first half of the Humming Room was in the first school, and I enjoyed it. I loved it so much. What does that say about me? As a child, I am, and still am, was and am.
It means I should get you a plant for your birthday.
My mom won't stop talking about plant it, but like a real plant won't live in my room because it's weird, you know?
Hello, I'm gonna pause this to inform you that I was scrolling on Goodreads to see if I remembered the characters' names properly, right? And on the Readers Also Enjoy, we have Hold Me by Courtney Milan.
What?
The Weight of the Stars by Kay Akram. And Forever Theirs by Anna Stone, you know, a lesbian erotica?
He says that?
Is it literally just you and me? Is that the Readers Also Enjoy?
Yeah!
It's like, that's so funny.
What the fuck?
That's the funniest.
But seriously makes sense. That doesn't make sense at all. Why are you trying to get me? Get out of the crack.
Oh my
Get out of the crack! Anyways, first time I read it, I was like 3rd to 4th grade, probably. I loved it. I never forgot about it. And then one day, at the other school, I found it in the library and I freaked out. I was like, I was always friends with the librarians. I was like, I love reading this book. I loved it so much, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously I read it and I had a very nice time. And I thought about it for years and years and years. And then was it 2021? I think it was. I read it again for the first time. It was right when I really got back into reading. And I had the time of my life. Hold on, I got a burp. And then eventually I bought it, hardcover, obviously. I prefer reading with paperbacks, but like with a book that's my book, you know, it's gonna be hardback. Hence the multiple copies rules. Anyways, this is really a me-centered episode. Well, it's not really. You know what I mean. If I don't mention the witches. Anyway. So obviously I've read it a good chunk of time since then. Because I love it.
I've read it like one time.
It's like cold and wet and
you know, I get it. Yeah, I can see that.
What else is so me-coded? And then the Fane, the mysterious boy who lives on the river, like that. All this is so me-coded. Like,
yeah.
Do you understand me more as a person?
Not really. I already understood you pretty well, but I got it. I understood why you liked it. I was like, yeah, as is what I know about the fish as a person. Because sometimes the fish does turn into a person. The fish isn't just a fish.
Real. I was a person at one point. That's some deep lore. That's all that. We're not going to open that can of worms. I've been saying that lately, and I don't know why. Yeah, I did the first time I read this, I was probably like, what? How old are you in 4th grade? Like 10?
I think around 9, 10.
I was probably 10 because I was past the cutoff for the main grade, so I was always a year older than everybody.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, you were probably 10, yeah. I would I read this in the perfect season, because, like, we are in the middle of, like, it keeps on switching back and forth between winter and spring. Weird weather happening, which is the perfect time to read this book, because this book takes place when it's changing from winter to spring.
Hell yeah.
We love that. Also, I am 100% sure this is the book that broke the camel's back and put me into a 10-day reading slump.
Considering you gave it 3.5 stars, which makes me sad, yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it was this book. I 100% think that the changing of the weather a lot made me go into weird seasonal depression back and forth, and then I was just not having a good time in life in general, and so then just like forced myself to read this book.
Hear me out. What are the planets doing? Because like March has been so fucking weird.
Alright, plot of this book.
Everyone eating dirt.
I'm ready to get into the plot. Okay, let's go. Let's see how much of this I can remember. Alright, so this book really starts right into it. It really starts it with the police at Rue, the trailer that Rue and her father, and his girlfriend, we don't learn that it's just his girlfriend until later, he is investigating. She is hiding underneath the trailer. We learn really fast that she loves hiding underneath here. That's her favorite space. She has a bunch of she has like a glass snake and a bunch of other trinkets down there, and she likes
has
listening to the
rings,
earth.
these fire rings that she has pushed, like she has the part that goes in your the hole pushed into the ground. So it's like I love it. Oh God, I love it. I'm
Okay.
gonna cry.
Okay. So, the neighbor lady, is there talking to the police officer about the kid because they can't find the kid, who is Rue. Who's like, I think like 10?
She's 12.
Okay, my brain said 12 right after I said 10. I was like, I feel like she's 10.
But like
She's the
she's
size of a
so
10-year-old, but she's 12. That's
yeah.
what it is. Aha. Yep, that's why my brain said both. So, she stole the snake and all the little flower earrings from this neighbor lady who tries to offer her food whenever she can because she very much thinks that Rue is malnourished. And all this stuff. Cough, cough. And so she buys like these little glass trinkets of like animals and flowers at the drugstore and then leaves them out knowing that Rue likes to steal them. Because she knows that Rue won't take them if she offers them to her, but she wants Rue to have them, all this stuff. She's talking about how she has been worried about Rue for a while, and the police officer is trying to find Rue after witnessing her father and his girlfriend being murdered in the trailer above her. Yeah, it really starts right off. Anyways, she, after
I like that, knowing this is one of my favorite books. Like, I think this was even maybe pre-Percy, kind of. It's like, it kind of hit right after, I feel like. No, what? Yeah, Percy was like right after, I feel like. That this is one of my favorite books of all time before everything, like, I think it was around the same time. I don't remember the first time I read that bit. I feel like that says a lot about me already.
Alright. The neighbor lady knows that Rue likes to hide underneath the trailer, so she tells the police that, after she asks, hey, what's the plan with the girl? Right? And this is where Rue learns that she has a secret uncle she never knew about. Right? But before they can get a hold of the secret uncle, she is sent to a foster home with a bunch of other kids, right? And all the other kids bully her a lot, and she just likes to hide in the greenhouse. At one point,
We forgot a very important fact. Rue, when she's in her spot, whoever she is, she likes to lay down and she likes to listen to the earth and all the noises. When did I did not hear it. Sorry about it. Let me talk about my little book, my little beloved. Okay, like
don't
burst my bubble.
When Legend comes, oh.
God, I need to read that next month.
I pray for you. So yeah, that's the thing she does. The other kids, basically make fun of her, being like, your uncle's just gonna give you back up, nobody would ever love you, all this stuff. And then lock her in the greenhouse. She finds a way to get through the window, she doesn't care. Right, and so eventually, the secretary of her weird secretive uncle, named Miss Valentine, comes and picks her up to take her to, I think, Cough Rock Island, which is, like an abandoned child hospital. Tuberculosis. Yeah. A creepy place. We all recognize this. So they're on the train on the way to get to the place where Miss Valentine can get the boat to go to the island, right? Also, I think this is around the point that we learn that, her father and his father were very different people, and when he was somewhere between the age of 16 and 19, he was disowned and was sent off to be on his own, and basically that's why he never had any access to all his family money, which is why they're super poor. Another thing we learned, Rue's not really going to school ever, because they move around so much with her father's trouble with the law that sometimes they don't stay in places a long time, and so no point in going to school. And them being in the town that they were just in was the longest they've stayed in an area for a long time. 3, she brings up
that being because it's very much implied that father and whatever girlfriend at the time, drug involved. You know?
Yes, it's heavily implied, yes. Girlfriend is also heavily implied, physically abused Rue. And which is why she liked to hide under the trailer.
This is fine. I'm fine.
And then the other thing we learned is that, the girlfriend is just the girlfriend, not her mom. Everyone's been calling her mom. And she's like, she's not my mom. And so then Miss Valentine is hella excited. The idea that Rue actually has a secret mom somewhere. So she's like, do you know where your mom is? And I'm like, hello, this is a 12-year-old now in the custody of the state. The state would have already tried to find her biological mom.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the fact that she was raised by a criminal, I am 100% sure that if her mom was alive, she would already be living with her mother. There's no way that the government, Child Protective Services, would let her be with her dad. Okay, if her mom was still alive, I am 100% sure in my mind that her mom died in childbirth. That's where it is in my mind. Right? I would not be surprised if he knocked a girl up, and that's what made his father disown him. And whatnot. Right? That...
Every time someone says knocked up, it, like, makes me giggle, because I just imagine, like,
I know, right? But Miss Valentine is so excited that there may be another person who can take care of Rue, and she's like, no, I don't know who she is. And then Miss Valentine is disappointed. Miss Valentine is very angry that Rue never goes to school. And also complains constantly to Rue about Rue's clothing and how she needs to get cleaned up, and you can't be wearing those rags all the time. I hate Miss Valentine. Miss Valentine can suck my ass. Because the next scene is them getting to Croft Rock Island, right? They're boating out. Rue is very uncomfortable about water, boats, all that stuff. Same, girl, I hate you. Miss Valentine is like, well, too bad. You're getting the boat. They get to the island, and the first thing she sees on this island is a giant-ass creepy building that says Children's Hospital. And she's like, oh, you're fucking lying to me. You're not taking me to my grandfather. You're actually just putting me in a random children's hospital and leaving me there forever. Fuck you. And Miss Valentine's like, stop being weird and crazy. Of course I'm not doing that. That's just what the island is. That's just where your father or uncle lives. All this stuff. And it's like, okay, you couldn't have told her that 5 minutes before you left the dock? Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure if you're gonna take a child to an abandoned children's hospital, the thing you do is you tell them beforehand.
Yeah, because that's scary.
Yeah.
Like, any type of hospital that's designated for children as a child is scary.
Yep.
Like,
so they get to the island, and Miss Valentine immediately takes her to go see her uncle, who is just like, yeah, okay, bye. I don't care. And so she's like, okay, cool. I bought you a bunch of nice brand new clothes. Why don't you get cleaned up and then you can put on new clothes and we can get rid of all your old clothes, you know, all the things you basically own.
The thing is, it's just so sad and doesn't understand why Emmett doesn't want to see her, and it's so...
Yep. So, basically she tells her to do that and tells her that the only place she isn't supposed to go is, I think, the West Wing?
Yeah.
Which was the girls' dormitory. Right? So almost immediately that's where she goes. I think she does get cleaned up first, and she hates the new clothes. Because they're not her. They, one, are too big because they are 12-year-old, and so they got clothes for a 12-year-old, but she's the size of a 10-year-old, so nothing fits her. And two, none of them are anything she'd ever like to wear. Like, she likes her hoodies and all this stuff. It's valid.
Corduroy's very specific color schemes, and she's so real.
So she basically puts on her old clothes again, and then goes to the girls' dormitory area. Hears some weird humming, and finds a box of some girl who's not there anymore, obviously, things, including a bunch of, like, old gum and whatnot, and also a ring that she steals and, puts on, right? Mm-hmm. And this is when she meets Violet. Now,
I love Violet!
I love Violet, too, except for this scene. Because she comes up behind Rue. Rue freaks out because some random lady I've never met before came up behind me. Who the fuck are you? And so then Violet picks her up and just holds her over her knee until she stops screaming.
Like, I get it, but I don't, you know?
which is so questionable in so many ways.
I think she's trying to handle Rue like this because she's used to handling Philip like that, even though it doesn't really work on him either. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes it doesn't. I think that's why she went.
But she takes Rue back to her room, and she's like, "Hey, I work here. Just eat your food. Do what Miss Violet asks, please. All this stuff." She talks about ghosts. She believes in ghosts. All this stuff. Basically, any lore from the island or the area we learn from Violet because Violet's mother is really into it, right? So
From Donkey Island. Her mother from Donkey Island.
Yep. So we all know Rue loves wilderness. So she goes outside one day and she's just looking around and she's this random boy on a boat on the river. And she's all like, that's weird. That's suspicious. He's like going into random houses, abandoned houses for the winter. And basically she kind of thinks he's cute, but she thinks that he's like a ghost.
She can't fully see him. She can just kind of see his little outline.
Yeah. She thinks that maybe he's some kind of ghost. She tells Violet about him, and Violet tells her a story about a water spirit, and all this stuff, and how they always choose like these beautiful girls, and all this stuff. Blah blah blah. It's not important. There's also two other people that come to the island, which is the mailman and the family doctor. The mailman is very nice. He is dropping off the family doctor. He gives Rue all the packages of mail to bring in because he always brings in the mail on days when it's gonna storm, so that Miss Violet doesn't have to go out into the store, right?
Valentine.
So he's all like, "Hey, take in the mail, would you? Thanks." They're very nice. Whatever. The family doctor. Everyone's kind of questionable about him. All this stuff.
So he reminds me of an omelet because it's Orlet. I don't know why it makes you think of omelet.
So, she takes the mail into, Miss Valentine, except there's one package that has the, Fanshawe family name, and it says P. Fanshawe, which is not her uncle's first name. And so she's like, that's suspicious, that's weird, and keeps it. And it's filled with bones. And so she takes the bones and puts them in the box, that she stole the ring from and whatnot. At one point, Miss Valentine does see the ring. She's like, hey, where'd you get that? And she was like, oh, my father got it for me for my birthday. She just very easily lies to Miss Valentine, right? Yeah. At one point, she catches her uncle, with the doctor, and he has, like, a scratch on his face.
It's a bite.
Or a bite on his face, yes. She does actually see her uncle. She does see her uncle at one point. She like goes up into his room and she's like, "Hey, why aren't you wearing your new clothes?" She immediately assumes that he's actually the ghost of her father because they look so similar. And she has to like calm down from realizing, hey, this isn't actually a ghost. But no, I don't like my clothes. They're not anything I'd wear, and also they're the wrong size, right? She says that she likes to wear browns and greens and whatnot, right? And he says, okay. And then tells her to leave. Now, there's this, rock crevice near the river that she likes to hide in. That's her hiding space. It's just small enough for her to, like, climb, or just big enough for her to climb into. She likes to sit still and just listen. And at one point, a black squirrel comes to her, right? Black squirrel, very important. Very important. One of the days, the boy on the river sees her, and, they start talking, right? On a semi-regular basis, I think, at this point. Sometimes he takes her for rides.
The first time is after the first time they talk is when she runs away from the teacher lady, and they can't find her. And
yeah, yeah. That's what I was going to bring up next, where Miss Valentine's like, okay, I'm going to get you a tutor. And you have to be near this tutor 24/7. So she is not allowed to go outside, except for, like, the 20 minutes of recess she has, right? And the rest of the time she has to stay inside and do schoolwork. She hates it. It is absolutely horrible for someone
I don't know why anybody thought this was a good idea. She was left alone for so long, they don't think she needs any type of space. Like, please be serious.
I know, right? So, she obviously doesn't trust this tutor, and also, is very unhappy at this point. She very much goes into a depressive spiral at this point, I'm very sure. I think that around this point is also when Violet brings up the fact that she is starting to look healthier, physically, because like she doesn't find herself attractive whenever she looks in the mirror. She hates looking at herself because she's like, I'm not pretty. And Violet's like, you're like actually growing up. You're like getting bigger. I thought there was gonna be like a whole thing where she actually starts growing again and she can't fit into the rock anymore. That does not happen. But basically, it's very heavily hinted at that she's getting actual food and proper nutrition now, and so now she's actually able to have like skin that isn't peeling off and stuff. You know, good times.
It technically does happen. Like, she's almost too big to fit in the rock space at the end, but she doesn't like being in there anymore.
Yeah. So one day, she realizes that the tutor, when she has the recess outside, if she runs around the building, the tutor can't follow her that fast. So if she gets to the other side and then hides under the rock, then the tutor will not know where she's gone. So she does that, right? And the tutor's yelling for her, but not really yelling, just like talking, being like, where are you? This is when she meets the boy officially, right? And he tells her that a storm's coming. I think it is.
Yeah, it's nighttime, right? It's dark, and then it starts to rain, and he's like, yeah, it's gonna rain. And she's like, oh my god, the fame. And then he's like, LOL, BRB, somebody's coming.
Yep.
And then she goes and hides again.
Yep. Eventually, she falls asleep in there, and she eventually goes back, and, obviously the tutor gets fired. Obviously.
LOL.
And Miss Valentine is like, yeah, guess what? I'm sending you back to those foster parents. I already talked to your uncle into it. Your uncle you've had one sentence conversation with in, the, like, 4 months you've been here. Yeah, I've talked to him into finally sending you back to,
which is ridiculous.
I know, right?
Who are you?
Of sending you back to the foster parents. Also, I'd like to note the foster parents, lived in, like, somewhere's non-suburbia, like, where there's actual land, so she was able to, like, sit in fields all day, right? And so, and they brought this up to the family and everything, and nobody questions, hey, maybe you should, being in the wilderness, and maybe we should, maybe if we let her do her schoolwork outside, maybe she'll be happy, and maybe then she'll do her schoolwork.
Or, give her some space? I don't know.
I get the whole, she needs to actually go to school, get an education aspect. I get that aspect, but, you can't keep a child cooped up inside all day. No.
People need space. Let's
yeah.
see,
So, basically, Miss Valentine's like, guess what, you're leaving tomorrow, fuck you. And then she hears screaming in the middle of the night, right? I think it's screaming that she hears.
Yeah, I think.
Has she found the garden at this point? I don't remember.
No, not yet.
Alright, so she goes, follows the screaming, finds Philip. Philip is the secret son of her uncle.
She didn't find Philip yet, pause. She hears, she's increasingly hearing screaming and humming. And she finally, she tracks it to that one room in her wing, but she doesn't know how to get to it or where it's coming from.
Eventually she does meet Philip. Hence
she finds the garden and then she meets Philip.
Okay. She eventually finds the garden. She goes through, the body chute.
Yeah, the body chute.
To get into there, basically, it's all dying. It's basically all been ripped up.
Okay, wait, I just remembered. She goes down the body chute, and then she finds, I think she finds Philip's door, and then after that, the squirrel shows her where the garden is.
Yes, I remember the squirrel
showing her where
the garden is, yeah.
She goes back to Philip's room.
Yeah. There's, parts of the greenhouse where, some light and, rain is able to get in, and, that part of the garden has a little bit of life, but she, can't hear anything underground. It's, parched, so she's like, I'm going to clean this up and make it living again. Okay? She meets Philip. At this point, she has heard the story from Violet that everyone hears of the Fanshawe family, where he went somewheres with rainforest, I don't remember where.
I'm pretty sure it's
met a beautiful non-white woman and was like, I'm gonna marry her.
Valid.
Right.
She wanted to come, that's the big thing. She was like, yeah, let's do it. Yep. I think that's the most important part.
Brings her home, and then they're all, in love and happy, and then, But everyone talks about how, like, she wasn't happy, and then all of a sudden she's dead, and there's some theories that he killed her. All this stuff. She meets Philip. Philip is obviously their secret child. He was really close to his mother, so when she died, he felt like he was on his own. There's this whole thing where his father doesn't know how to talk to him, and so he just pays people to take care of Philip. And so it basically anyone who ever talks and hangs out with Philip knows that his father pays for them to stay there. And so he's like, the only people who love me, my father paid for me to love me, and my father doesn't clearly love me because he hasn't said a word to me in years. Which I can see, I can connect the dots. I get it, Philip. That does not mean you get to be the bitch that you are. I hate Philip. I hate Philip so much. The only person I hate more than Miss Valentine is Philip, and I'm 80% sure that Phillips is on purpose. And that's the only reason I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I do feel like he gets a little better towards the end, but I think he just needs to deal with his shit and, like, you know.
Maybe, like, instead of getting a random, like, doctor off the mainland who just tells you constantly to send your child away, maybe you should, like, actually get your child a psychologist and grief counselor. Yeah. Instead of letting him get away with all the shit that he does. Anyways, he has an obsession with bones.
At the end of the day, everybody in this book, well, not everybody, but, like, the kids are redeemable in some aspects. Like, there's room for them to, you know.
So he has an obsession with bones. That's, like, the one thing he cares about. He likes to make, skeletons of animals and all this stuff, right? Hence the box with the bones with his name on it, right? So, basically, she calms him down, and then, he's all like, hey, I want you to stay forever, and she's like, no, also, he wants her to play a game with him, and he's like, play this game. She's like, no. And she's like, ask, and maybe I will. And so that he's like, she's the first person who won't do immediately what he says, when he's screaming, crying, and everything. She's like, no, you gotta ask, and maybe I will if I want to. Which is a surprise to him, which makes it so he stops screaming and crying and having tantrums, which then surprises Violet and Miss Valentine. I think at this point, he, like, actually punched Violet or something like that. Like, her face is fucked up.
Like, he scratched her.
Scratched her, that's what it was. But Violet still really cares for him, and she's like, I don't fucking understand why, because he's such a dick to you. And basically Violet and Miss Valentine, Violet, like, lets her stay in there, because, like, sees that she's calming him down. And then Miss Valentine comes in, he's, like, freaking out that she let her in and all this stuff, and they're, like, keeping Philip a secret for blah, blah, blah reasons. Basically,
dumb reason.
Violet talks Miss Valentine into letting her stay as long as she can calm down Philip. Right? Now, you may think that she starts treating Philip like everyone else does to appease Philip. No, she still treats him the same fucking way. Which is the only
She's like, I will whack you upside the head if you don't stop this shit.
Honestly, when he, like, wakes up screaming from nightmares, she's like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to sleep.
Like, she's unreasonably me-coded. I'm like...
Yep. And that's why I think he likes her so much, is because he's the only person who's actually real with her. And doesn't want anything from her.
She calls him out on his bullshit, and that's what it is.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure they have a conversation about how she's going to leave, and then he's like, I don't want you to leave, and then when she's able to stay because of him, and he's all like, see, now you have to do what I say because you're staying here because of me. She's like, no, I'm still gonna tell you off because I don't give a fuck. If I leave, I leave. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? I witnessed my father getting murdered? Oh wait, I already did that. Shut the fuck up. Literally him complaining about his mother dying all the time, and she's just there just like, oh yes, I don't know what it's like to have your main parental figure die on you suddenly, out of nowheres, right in front of you.
Hear me out. What's worse, a spider bite or murder?
You know, if there's a spider bite, there's a chance to become Spider-Man. So, I'm gonna go with murder. I'd like to remind you that they are making a Blade movie in the MCU, which means canonically there are vampires in the MCU. I will never not shut up about this, and I hope you understand. It's not coming out until November of next year. So until this movie comes out, I'm not gonna shut up.
Oh my god.
I would like to remind you, you love me.
I
Anyways,
do, unfortunately.
anyways, so yeah, that's happening. I think at this point from Philip, she learns about what the garden is, which is basically, because his mother was from a rainforest and whatnot. Uh, his father wanted to build her perfect rainforest for her on the island, right?
Pause. The first time they see each other, his mother and his father, the first time they see each other, it's after he comes out from a waterfall, so he kind of like replicates the waterfall and all the plants that were around it and stuff, and I'm just like, that's sickeningly sweet. Like, he's so real. Like, he went out and specifically got every single type of plant ever, and I just...
So, yeah, after she, suddenly died of a sickness, then he literally, ripped everything out of the garden, and, because that he has nothing of his mother left, right? She feels bad, she, like, contemplates telling him about the garden at that point. I think at this point she is taking buckets of water from the river and watering the garden, but it's, like, sucking it all back up because it's, like, it's such an issue. Riverboat Boy is at one point starts helping her. She tells him about it. They are working on it together. That's his name. Okay. That's the one character whose name I forgot.
Two of my favorite books have a character named Jack. Like, that's weird.
But Jack, is best friends with the heron. He also helps, like, other animals around the area and whatnot. So they go on trips together around, and also he helps her with the garden. Philip knows about Jack at one point, and he's all like, "You like Jack better than me," and she's like, "Yeah, cause like he doesn't scream and bite people."
But also, he's kind of like a mysterious, like, yeah, he may be an actual boy who just may be neglected, etc., etc. I don't care. He's the fame. I don't care. Like,
also,
like,
if you
hello.
think about it, if he's a boy who's neglected, they have so much in common. They have that shared trauma they can bond over.
Exactly. But also, you try to tell me the river literally does respond to him. I know it's just like him, like reading the weather, etc., etc. But it's literally responding to him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah. Also, he cures her fear of the river and all this stuff. Also,
yeah.
he talks about how shortly after Philip's mother died,
Yeah,
he saw, like, the ghost of her in the animals around. Cough, cough, very important. I have a theory that there is an actual ghost, that she's actually there.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So, she starts feeling bad because Philip is low-key getting worse. They're gonna actually send him away, like that doctor wants, and they can't do anything about it, because, like, literally, his father gave the order and then immediately left to do whatever rich white guys do. Maybe he has another family somewhere. Honestly, I won't be surprised.
Oh my god.
So she feels bad. She shows him the garden. He's happy. He helps clean up. At this point, one flower starts growing on the top of the waterfall right next to his foot. Almost like magic. Instantly, right there. Wow. There must be something very important about this flower.
This is the same flower that was the last flower that his dad needed to get to make everything in play, which made everything happen. LOL.
So yeah, they can't get a hold of his father to be like, hey, no, don't send him away. He's actually doing much better because once he sees the garden, he actually has, like, something to work for. He's also, like, sickly and all this stuff, but having to, like, move these things of water and whatnot, he starts actually getting, like, muscle toned again. And
but also, him being outside too probably helps, and him socializing.
Actually, he's getting some vitamin C from the sun, or D, or whatever it is.
And social interaction at the same time? My goodness.
To actually talking to kids his age? Fucking genius idea.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Literally, here's the first two things. Alright? Therapy. Actually talking to children his same age. Wow. Who could have thought those two things could have helped him out so much sooner? Anyways, yeah, no, they're, like, trying to call up the dad to be like, hey, like, Miss Valentine and Violet are, like, trying to be like, hey, please, don't do this. He's not listening. He does not care. Violet does learn that they found the garden and are repairing it, and she's like, okay, just don't let Miss Valentine learn about this.
It's the only reason Violet doesn't tell is because Violet's like, who is this boy? And she's like, Rue's like, well, this is Jack. And she's like, oh my god, it's the Fane. I can't believe I met the Fane. And then Jack cuts off his ponytail and gives it, because she's like, how am I supposed to prove to the Donkey Island ladies that I met the Fane? And then he, like, cuts off his ponytail, gives it to her, then she's like, how do I know you're actually real? Then he gives her a hug, and I'm just like, Violet! But also, it doesn't help that the Fane is, like, supposed to be, like, mysterious and beautiful and, like, on the water, and that's exactly what he is. He's the Fane. Like, I don't care.
At one point before this, Philip has another tantrum. I think this is the tantrum that makes the dad decide to send him away, right? He has another tantrum, where he has a nightmare and then has a tantrum, and they call Ruin to take care of him, right? And she's, like, so done with his shit. And she's all like, yeah, cool, you're depressed because your mom died? Guess what? I saw my dad get murdered in front of me. I don't give a fuck. And so she takes all his, like, skeletons and crushes them all. And she's like, I will continue to do this until you stop screaming. And she doesn't realize until after she's basically crushed them all that, he stopped screaming a long time ago. She's just so angry about life that she just destroyed all of them. And she feels bad. So she does get the bone that she stole, from that package back and gives it to him. But he's all like, there's no point anymore and all this stuff. He gets really depressed again. But anyways,
I think she was allowed to have that reaction only because she hasn't really
she hasn't gone, this thing called therapy. I feel like the solution to everything in this book is if people just go to therapy.
Yeah, but also she hadn't expressed her emotions in any way, shape, or form until that point. So that's why that happened.
I also forgot to mention at one point, cause she did mention, like, her clothes to her uncle, and he does get a bunch of clothes for her sent to her, and she's like, this is the first time I've ever received a package. So she's, like, really surprised when it happens. Anyways, she has new clothes that actually fit her and, are her style and all this stuff.
It's, like, one of the first times someone's actually nice and caring for her in a way that isn't, like, condescending. It's, like, an actually nice thing.
Also, I think she learns that they're taking Philip away. Because this black squirrel...
It's not an obligation either, so it's, like, different.
I think she learns they're taking Philip away because she, the black squirrel directs her up the banana tree, and from that she's able to see through the top, to see the doctor, like, taking him away or something, right?
There's a boat there that's usually not there. Yeah. And it's, like, at a time where no one's supposed to be going or leaving.
Yeah. So eventually, Philip's father returns. And he, I think at this point, Miss Valentine has learned about the garden, and so she goes and immediately tells him. And so he comes into the garden and sees Rue there, and he's like, what the fuck did you do? And she's like, I brought back the garden. It's, like, basically all back. And he tells the story of basically, he wanted his wife to have everything, and so he paid these people to make this garden. This beautiful garden is actually, like, the Amazon, or the, rainforest they met. But there's this one flower, that when he was coming out of the waterfall, she was, like, standing in front of, or next to, or something, and, they could not find it, so he went himself to get it. This is the same flower that magically grew, basically, on, like, right next to, Philip's foot when he was, like, napping on the top of the rocks that make the waterfall in the garden, right? So he goes, gets the flower himself, brings it back. She's hella excited. She's so happy. Secretly, there was a deadly spider in it because rainforest, and it bit her. She died. He does ask her, what does she know about the whole thing of, like, what happened to his wife, and she's like, well, there's a story that you killed her, and he, like, actually says, like, it might as well have been me. Like, he really heavily blames himself.
Like, it's gonna be sick. Like,
so afterwards, he did the only thing he knew what to do, which is, fumigate the whole thing, right? Safe, get that, yep. And then tear it all up. Because he couldn't have, something so beautiful that was meant for her without her there to appreciate it. It didn't understand that, Philip, would appreciate it, but also, like, having a conversation with his own son. Fucking imagine.
Never.
Anyways, you know what? I should have made a joke about when he was gone for, like, months on end and no one could find him. I should have said he was out getting milk.
Oh my god.
I missed a great joke opportunity.
He comes back, so you can't make that joke.
Well, yeah. Anyways, he feels bad, and so he calls Philip back, and they live happily ever after. Um,
I feel like you skipped a lot.
I
And there,
probably did, but there's also a thing where as I think like right at the end of the book, right at the end, she's on the riverboat with Jack and whatnot, and they're going around, and she sees in the bugs, like a specific type of bugs that he said when he said that he saw Philip's mother's ghost right after she died, right? It's the same bugs and the same formation of like a human's hair and all this stuff because she had like luscious black locks. That's like
okay, hold on. Let me skipped over some important things.
Can I
At
talk
one
about
point,
my ghost shit first?
no, because that's at the very, very end.
I want to talk about the ghost.
Okay, at one point they go to an island because there's this I forget, is it a chipmunk or something? I don't know, that goes back and forth to try to eat these tern eggs.
I thought it was a
And
ferret. Don't ask me.
even though it's like kind of hopeless for him to do this, he tries to keep the tern eggs alive, even though the terns are like terrible parents, blah 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 blah. And then later on, they're out on the water and it starts to rain, and Jack's like, okay, let's go to this place. I know a place because like they're too far away from like any of the other islands to like go to, you know. And then they go to this boat, and then he's like, lay down on this thingy and then look up, and it's like, and then she's like, oh my god, it's Pendragon. It's like this boat that flies in the sky. That story about what her father told her when she was little, and she's like, oh my god, this is Pendragon. But I'm just like, I'm fine. And then they look at each other, kind of like, childhood infatuation vibes. You know how it is. But also, like I don't know. That's a whole thing there. I don't know. I love them. I fucking love them. Like you don't understand. Also, there's this one point where it's like, never mind, that doesn't matter. It just, but you can talk. It's actually birds at the end that go, and then it's so cute, Ronnie. And then they make the shape of like flowing hair. But there's a very specific quote at the end that I want to say because it.
Well, it's a good thing you own the book then.
What?
It's a good thing you own the book then.
Yes. I'm gonna cry.
I believe in you.
Okay, they go out on the water at the end, and it's just like, I'm sorry, not Violet being like, yes, she's talking to Jack, yes, you're very charming, just remember to bring her back to us. Violet, please. Like, Jack is like a year or two older than her, right? But like, once they're older, they're together in my mind. I don't care. I don't care if they're children. I don't care.
Accurate.
Because, like, I think this is, like, because in the Secret Garden, whoever, I don't remember, it's Mary and that one other kid. It's, like, obvious, but everyone's like, oh, yeah, she was in love with him. And that's what, you know. Why are you trying to bite me?
Yeah, I mean,
anyway,
snack time.
Let me read this fucking quote. Sometimes when they were in the garden, she would look at him and wonder, when the trees go tall years and years from now, will we still know each other, or will you just drift away one day, like the flows during the spring melt? Hey, Jack stretched his legs out and tapped her ankle between his bare feet and called her there. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking that I might like learn how to swim. Jack's face brightened. Really? Rue nodded. That whole thing in itself. And then the fact that she was scared of the water. And then at the end, she was like, maybe I should learn how to swim. And then she doesn't like being cramped up in spaces anymore, so she feels safe being out in the open. And the fucking character felt living's gonna smash my head against the wall. And I love the take you up in my face concerns. Like, I cannot explain to you how much I fucking love this book.
Can I talk about ghosts
terrified.
yet?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Okay. So, the shape of the bird insect things are like a woman's hair, waving goodbye, like her hair, right? When Phil's father comes back, he talks about how the whole reason he came back is he swore that his wife was calling him back to fix everything, right? Philip talks about multiple times about how he swears that his mother is like a ghost in the house. Like, it's this whole thing. He's obsessed with the fact that his mother's a ghost, and he gets really upset when she leaves him alone for a long time. That's why he has tantrums a lot, right? And it is heavily hinted that she's the one humming, that Rue can hear all the time. And that, I think at one point Rue, like, hums it, and he says that that's, like, his mother's favorite song or something.
Yeah, because, it's because, like, where she was from, they would hum a specific way because it was, like, it would, like, help the children grow up strong and healthy, etc. And then she leans down to, like, listen to, or to see what's happening in the garden, and she's like, oh yeah, it's making noise sound. They're like, what do you mean it makes noise? What do you mean it makes sounds? And they're like, what does it sound like? And then she tries to hum it, and he's like, and Philip's like, oh my god, that's, like, what she would hum to me.
Yeah.
Because it's her garden.
Yeah. And then the black squirrel directing her everywheres, like, up the banana tree, and to the garden in general, and also to him, and all this stuff, heavily hinted that I also believe that is her. Basically, she's a ghost, and she used Rue to fix her family's, fractured relationship, and, you know, I wish I had a mom so dedicated.
For real.
That's where I'm leaving that off. Anyways, 100% believe that she was actually a ghost, and she was actually controlling things in the background, to make all this happen. That's my headcanon.
Spooky, cold, beloved vibe.
Listen, we both know we love ghost stories in this house.
No,
hey, I have a question. You never replied to me.
What?
Do you want to watch Signs with me?
I said yes.
Oh, you did? I didn't see it because the remote sent me notifications.
I said yes. That's the first thing I said to anybody today.
Oh, I want to watch Signs again. I kept on thinking about it last night while I was supposed to be reading Heartstopper and then making myself into a pretzel, reading it, freaking out. And I was like, maybe I should watch Signs again. And then I was like, do I really need to watch Signs again? And then I was like, you know what's a good excuse to watch Signs again? Showing it to the fish!
I'm gonna cry. I love this book so much. Like, I
love Signs so much!
I know, but, like, we understand why I like this book.
There's a water connection there. It's okay. There's a water connection there. It's okay. That reference won't make sense unless if you watch the movie with me, but trust me, water's a thing. Hey, you remember how I love movies that fuck up your brain?
Yes.
Signs may do that. I'm sorry in advance.
Okay. Anyway, I think we understand why I like this book still to this day, and I think we understand why I liked it so much as a child.
Also, children that need therapy.
I think the neglected children, being alone, liking small spaces where you just have to listen, to this day, I have the smallest room in the house. And when I had the biggest room of one of the other houses we lived in, I hated it. I fucking hated it. And now I'm at a point in my life where I do not like this small room. And maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I think the moral of the story that we all have to recognize is that if a fish is gonna like a book, it has got to have people who should totally be going to therapy, usually under the age of 20. Child neglect. Something to do with water. And probably ghosts. I'm really thinking about the Wicker King and also how the fact that there's child neglect, they should totally go to therapy, and also the water scene. I'm pretty sure there's no ghost in the Wicker King, unless if you're talking about his visions, but...
I mean, they're definitely haunted by the end of it, so...
True. Anyways, Maybe I should pick more ghost stories for this podcast. Hey, you want to talk about Days of Darker now?
I mean, we could do an episode on that. Do you want to?
Dude, my favorite part of that book. Spoilers for Daisy Darker. If you don't want to hear about Daisy Darker, just turn off this episode now. My favorite part about that book is after learning that she's a ghost the whole time, and then the fact that the guy who killed her, she wrote "boo" on his computer.
I really wonder what he thought about that.
I don't know, but that's still so fucking hilarious to me. That is iconic.
I'm
That's
sorry,
so
one of the
good.
biggest things. I figured out before it was real, but the fact that he was Trixie's father too, like, hello?
See, I figured out that part, but not the fact that she was secretly a ghost the whole time until like 5 pages
I knew
before the
that.
revelation, and I was like, ah.
I remembered that part.
I did tell
you.
You
told
that.
me.
Damn.
Yeah.
We didn't wait long enough. Anyways, next you gotta read 172 Hours on the Moon so you can have your skin
Well, that
crawl.
means you have to read Evelyn Hugo so you can send it to me.
Listen, my Pearl brought up the fact the other day. She was like, "Hey, weren't you supposed to annotate that?"
Let's see. It's April next month. April, May, June. I need time to read Evelyn Hugo and recuperate. So I need you to send me the damn book. That means you have to read the damn book.
Yeah. You know, I almost picked it up yesterday.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna throw something at your head.
Anyways, do you have anything else to say about The Humming Room?
My beloved.
Okay.
Good book. Book good.
Book was okay. Probably would have rated 4 stars if it wasn't the book that broke the camel's back and made me go into a 10-day reading slump. That I only slightly broke
when you're not in a reading slump, and you'll rate it higher, and then I'll be so happy.
Okay. Sure, Jan.
That's not gonna happen, but I can be delusional.
You know, you can be extra delusional when you read Bloodmarked. I believe in you.
I hate you. I can't believe you're making me read that damn book.
I already made you read The Weight of Blood. Don't you love that book? That book was so good.
Yeah, next month I have to read Legendborn, Bloodmarked, because there ain't no way I'm rereading Legendborn. I can't handle that. And then, next month, I have to reread Evelyn Hugo. Like, how am I supposed to fucking work in these conditions? That's a great answer, because I agree.